Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another metabolic conditioning or general physical preparedness workout. Because I'm filming so much of this, I'm filming like 3 of these a week. I probably won't film them during deloads, but I'm going to try to film 3 of these every week. I've basically relegated this down to basically just 3 days of real Metcon every week. And I'm mostly just doing tons and tons of chin-ups and maybe a little bit of other stuff, maybe abs and other stuff. On the other days. So what I'm actually trying to do is after my main workouts, trying to do tons and tons of chin-ups. Like I'm not doing many of them on Sunday, but like yesterday I did 100 chin-ups, right? I did 80 on Monday. I did 100 yesterday after my max effort workouts. So I'm trying to get past that 500 chin-up a week, and I'm just incorporating them as part of my Metcon. But I feel like because my work volume is going up, I'm doing more total assistance work, that this has actually helped my work capacity tremendously, that I really only need 3 days of real metabolic conditioning. So I'm going to do them on the off days, my non-4 lifting days. So it gives me 3 days to do these. And I feel like these are enough as long as I'm doing tons and tons of chin-ups every day with it. My general activity level is really, really, really high. So, because I'm at a point now where yes, I'm still maintaining. My weight is holding 220 on the scale. I'm past 4,000 calories a day right now. So it's even going to reach a threshold with all this as I gain strength, because I actually, my waistline's getting smaller. And I know sometimes people will comment and say, well, the loose skin, we can see all that. It's like, yeah, but it actually, some of it on the lower end seems to be getting looser because the waist measurement's going down. I'm at a point where even holding 220, like my lifting belt is getting loose. I'm about to have to drop another notch into it. So it's one of the things you guys will notice more and more with it. That belt seems looser. It's because it is. And that's a fixed setting. It's like I have to take screws out to change that to tighten it. So if my waist is getting smaller and I'm holding the same body weight and strength is going up, the only possible explanation is some fat loss, because I'm not losing muscle around my waist. So the whole Metcon thing, so that people understand it, because I'm going to have to explain this a lot. A lot of people look at it and go, well, some people think it's hard training. They're like, your muscles aren't getting a rest. Like, this is not limit sets. And what people need to understand, this is just doing general work with things while keeping your heart rate up. I'm doing mostly body weight stuff here because at 220, my strength level is high enough that this stuff isn't challenging. Okay, so even like those chin-ups, that's obviously not my max chin-ups. Now, some people do point, are you not locking out at the bottom? It's really hard for me to lock my elbows. So that's just in general. I am actually just dropping down on these until I feel my shoulder blades pull apart. So you notice my scapula pull apart, and then I turn my elbows back in and pull myself up. So that's actually one of the techniques I should probably talk about later as far as my chin-up goes. One of the things that I've done to avoid elbow tendonitis, because I've mentioned that it's historically been an issue for me, is being very careful with my elbow position. I actually don't just go straight up and down. There's a movement I do with my elbows that seems to alleviate the issues. It's basically just like on a bench press, how you tuck at the bottom and then you flare them at the top. I let my elbows come out at the top, and then on my way back down, before I pull myself back up, I basically tuck my elbows, rotate them forward. And I've noticed that's one of the things, especially if I get a really good underhand grip on there to where my thumb is all the way up over the bar so that my wrists are bent back, that seems to alleviate a lot of those tendon issues that I get. Seems to alleviate them a lot. So it's helping tremendously as far as the tendonitis, and not doing limit sets, like not doing anything to failure, not doing really heavy weighted chins. Because that's what seems to really get my tendons too, is when I load them with a lot of weight to failure. Like 1 rep maxes on the chins, or even doing strict curls to pretty much failure with my palms up, that will guarantee that my tendons will throb and I won't be able to do anything, especially in that old injury arm. So that's kind of what I'm doing there, is that these are not limit sets. And the idea is that we do movements that we can do repetitively for large numbers of reps without hitting failure in a rotation. So you'll notice some of these, especially the farmer's walks ones, are shorter because I'm doing less step ups. So I only did these farmer's carries the first 2. For those curious, that's 164 pounds in each hand. But you know what? A couple of rounds of these is adequate just to get a training effect for the start of my Metcon 3 days a week, because I'm doing a lot of pulling. I don't need to do a lot of loaded carries, but they're a nice addition. Now, I might reach a point later to where I want to focus really, really heavy on the weighted carry. I don't want to focus on it because it's a legit exercise. It's a very useful exercise, and there's different ways to train it. Now, I took dips out. I feel like the dips do put an undue amount of stress. I don't need the dips in here at the moment. Why? Because I might use them as a real supplemental lift. I've added floor pressing back in. So in addition to my normal workloads, I'm doing extra sets of floor pressing for volume, and that'll build my chest and everything on my main like max effort days. So I'm not as worried about them. Chin-ups are going to need to stay because I'm not doing any real upper back work outside of chin-ups every day. But you know, you reach a point to where, again, when you weigh 220 and you do 500 plus chin-ups every week, I don't know that you need upper and middle back work added, because it's not like I don't do tons of deadlifts and good mornings and all this other stuff. So we do them. And the idea, so that people understand, this just gets you into shape. What do we mean in shape? So this is not a bodybuilding channel. This is an anti-bodybuilding channel. Bodybuilding is repugnant and vile. That's my official stance. What do we mean by in shape? I mean your conditioning, your cardiovascular conditioning, your work capacity, your ability to sustain work. Now, when it comes to Metcon like this, when you're legitimately strong, and no, compared to the most elite lifters in the world, I am not strong. Compared to the average gym rat, I am very, very strong. You don't see many gym rats, regular guys who just go to the gym squatting and deadlifting more than 500 pounds, right? And most of them are lucky. If they can get to a 300 bench, that's considered to be impressively strong for a gym rat. And I'm past that. So I'm a pretty strong guy. I have a pretty high amount of strength. When it comes to your conditioning work like this, when you're strong, things that would be a workout for other people turn into cardio for you. And that's what this is. This is using resistance training in a circuit to do cardio, okay? Hence the term metabolic conditioning. Now, because it is resistance for all these muscles, and this is work that, you know, is within, it's over half your max reps, right? Because I'm doing anywhere between 20 and 30 step-ups. Realistically, in one set, I bet 40 per leg would floor me, and that would reach absolute failure. Same thing with chin-ups right now. I'm doing like 8. Realistically, what do I think my max number of chin-ups I could grind out is? I don't know, 14 or 15 in one go, but I do 100 a day, a lot of days. But in one set, that's probably my all-out best I could do. I could maybe do 15 at my body weight. So we do sets of 8 push-ups, doing, you know, started with 15, then I went to 20, just do about 20. And I'm using the dumbbell handles for a reason. There's no need for me to put my hands on the ground. I don't need the wrist strain or the fatigue. I've got a bench press. I've got to bench to a max every week, okay? I'm not playing like that. I'm just going to use the dumbbells. It's fine. And I can set them in a position that puts me into elbow tuck so it's easy on my shoulders. And the same thing, the glute ham raises are a nice addition. And you know what? If I do these for just 4 sets of 10, 3 times a week with conditioning, it gives me 120 glute ham raises. It is working that hamstring from a different angle that I'm not getting with my main work, because I do a lot of hamstring work. But what does all this do for recovery? Because a lot of people are saying, all this extra work, how do you recover? And that's what they don't understand. This is recovery. All right, this is recovery. This is high volumes of conditioning-based submaximal work. This builds work capacity and it builds recovery. Okay, this builds the ability to clear waste products in all your muscles. All right, this is pumping blood through all my muscles, improving my cardiovascular capacity and capillary beds and everything in all the muscles. This facilitates recovery. This builds your ability to recover from hard training. Not that this isn't its own form of hard, but it's conditioning. It gets you into shape, guys. And if you are in shape, you recover faster between sets when you lift hard. It allows you to do more work density in the same workout. Okay. Number 2, it improves your ability to clear waste products and recover at the muscular level. If you can recover faster at the muscular level and the tissue level, what does that mean for your main training? It means you can do more of it. In other words, you can do higher volumes of training and recover from it. Now, what this doesn't help is the nervous system recovery. This isn't going to let you do more max effort work, right? It isn't going to let you do more max effort work. But let's come over to the point with this training system. Do we need more max effort work? No. If I max out on 2 exercises every week, that's basically 2 1-rep maxes per week. Isn't that enough? Isn't that enough to develop the skill of lifting maximally? 1 press and either 1 sort of squat or 1 sort of pull every week, right? We do a squat every other week and some basically form a deadlift every other week. Do some form of press every week. So both the upper and the lower body have hit a 1-rep max on something. And that's it. That's all the heavy work we need. That will develop maximum strength. Because what we're trying to do is take all this speed strength and all the hypertrophy that we build from the other training and turn it into max strength. And we have to learn the skill of max lifting. We have to learn to maximize force production, and we have to learn how to find a max and find our groove. Well, that's what the max work does. We don't need more of it. That's enough. You do that for a year straight, and you max on 2 lifts every week, you're going to get pretty decent at maxing out. Because we don't have to do peaking phases in the system of training like that. You just practice doing maxes for a very small amount of maxes every week, and you just get used to doing a max. It becomes a normal part of life, and you don't do it again for a week. Because you do it, I do it on Monday and Tuesday, and I don't max again. Don't worry about it again. So all the other training is geared towards explosive power, developing maximum explosiveness, and that does require recovery. Okay, we've got to recover from that. The speed work, the plyometric work, we need to recover from that. This helps with that. It helps with that a lot. What does it also help with tremendously? The volume training, all those sets of 10. So if after my max work on my max days, I want to pick 3 different exercises and do 5 sets of 10, that's 15 sets of basically hypertrophy training, a lot of training volume. And we do that on both max days. All right, this comes in handy. This helps you recover from it. And if you can do a large amount of volume and you can build the capacity to recover from it, what happens? You can grow faster. We can grow faster. The other perk, how many calories I burn because of all this work every week. All right? All of my training volume goes up. All this conditioning is up. Doing all those chin-ups every day. Adding more and more exercises and sets for the volume training, the assistance work, accessory work. Energy turnover goes up. People say, well, why does that matter? Because I'm only burning calories to neat, epoch, and direct resistance-based exercises. None of this is list cardio. All of this has some anabolic response. So if you're creating a larger anabolic response to your caloric burn, and then you eat more calories, and in my case, I eat only very anabolic calories. I don't really eat starches and carbs. My food is all the most anabolic foods. Whole milk, eggs. Those are my staples. And that's not to say I don't eat meat every day, but I can tell you right now, every day, at least my first 3,000 calories comes from whole milk and whole eggs. Okay. Those are 2 of the most anabolic foods ever found in studies in humans. You can argue if you want, the data's there. And lots of green vegetables, right? All my food is anabolic and geared towards maximum recovery and maximum muscle protein synthesis. So what's the end result? We gain muscle slightly faster, even potentially at maintenance. Well, if we're at maintenance and we're gaining muscle creating the largest possible anabolic response and growth at maintenance calories, even if it's small, because I'm an advanced lifter. It's not rapid muscle growth, but it's some muscle growth. Best I can do is the end result. We'll lose body fat with it because we're at maintenance calories. Recomposition. It's the opposite approach of some people just train less and try to get good stimulation and then maintenance calories versus can we maximize growth stimulus while maximizing caloric intake and anabolic signaling from all the food we eat. This is the harder approach, but it seems to be working. All right. So this ties into all of it. This allows us to eat more food, even have a much higher maintenance calories. It dramatically increases work capacity. It increases recovery. And it has its own mild anabolic response. Because there is some anabolic response to all this. You can't do tons and tons of resistance-based things, even if they're not super hard for you, without adding some cumulative, but very, very diminished anabolic signal. And compare it to doing list cardio. I mean, list cardio that we know costs you muscle versus this stuff, all right? Some would even argue, well, a lot of this could be causing intramuscular water. Fine. What's intramuscular water do in the long term for creating a more anabolic environment? Your muscle tissue is holding more water. Well, that can facilitate more growth in the long term, because you create a homeostasis in your body to where your body thinks it just needs to shuttle resources and things to your muscles all the time. I don't know that that's a bad thing. Seems to work for all the guys who do it in the long term. So this is kind of the final piece of the puzzle. You know, when people try to understand what's going on with the training, it's not any one piece that makes or breaks you. The max effort work is critical. The dynamic effort work is probably, almost arguably, the most important component, but it doesn't work without all of them. But if you were to pin it down, what would I say is the most important element? I don't know, probably the dynamic work. My opinion, says me. I think it has the most carryover to other things. We have to do all the volume work, the rep work, with the accessory movements to maximize size, especially in our weak links. And then we have to do all this conditioning work. The conditioning gets you into shape, and it creates all these other factors. This is what makes this system work on top of it. So when we say that the system of training, this is athlete training. It gets confused for being training for powerlifting. But even though I do maxes, do you guys see me even doing the classic lifts? I mean, how often do I even do any of the power lifts? The actual classic ones, not very often. You know, there are guys who break records, who run this system in powerlifting, they almost never even train their big lifts. Their actual classic competitive power lifts, they train them, but not an all full-time deal. Because it's what I keep trying to tell people. All strong athletes will be good at powerlifting. People say, well, I know a strong athlete who can't do the big three. Then he's not a strong athlete. Because this system creates strong athletes who almost never even do the classic three. And yet guys break records in them off of this style of training. So let me ask you again, are they really strong then? Argue they're really not. They're just a test of strength. That's all they are. It's a test of strength. You always hear who Athlete X talk about train like an athlete. What does that even mean? I don't know. Watch my training in the 4 different training modalities that get programmed together. How's that for training like an athlete? Max strength, explosive power, metabolic fatigue for hypertrophy, and then metabolic conditioning. All right, there's your 4 big components. So it builds athletes. So what are we doing on these last? I'm trying to do 30 per leg on the last couple. I ended up doing 100 step-ups. I lost count at some point on the last couple, but I know I got to 30. It could have been 31, 32. The main thing is that we got 100 step-ups on each leg in this conditioning work. Yeah, this takes a while. Ends up being over 20 minutes of work. You know, it ends up being over 20 minutes of work. So, decent amount of conditioning work. All things considered, do this 3 times a week. There is a conditioning component to some of my lifting. And I think people forget that. The speed work and the weighted step-ups have their own conditioning. Your heart rate's definitely elevated doing all that. So that's already done 2 days a week. There's a large conditioning component. This is more focused. Get this in 3 days a week and then just do tons and tons of chin-ups to build work capacity. And I can always rotate other stuff in. You know, I'll get tired of some of these and do my kettlebell swings. And we can rotate different things in. All right, this is what I'm basically doing for now. But it's changing a little bit as we go. And then I like to finish up each round with the glute ham raises, which is just an all-around awesome exercise. Great exercise. Provides unique characteristics that nothing else provides. And I need more hamstring right now. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.